Something has been sitting heavily on their heart, and today, they can no longer pretend that it is not there. The person you love has reached a point where silence feels more painful than the truth. They have been replaying the same words inside their mind, trying to find the right way to say them, trying to decide whether now is the right moment, trying to understand what could happen once you finally know everything. And the message they want to give you begins with this: I need to share something important with you. Please read this message right now. Those words are not casual. They are not being sent because they are bored, lonely, or looking for temporary attention. This is something deeper. Something they have been carrying quietly. Something they have tried to hide behind ordinary conversations, delayed replies, forced smiles, and moments when they acted as if everything was completely fine. But everything has not been fine. There is something they need you to understand about the way they feel. Something they should have told you much earlier. They know that their silence may have confused you. They know there were moments when you questioned whether you truly mattered to them. You may have wondered why someone who seemed to care so deeply could suddenly become distant, uncertain, or difficult to understand. The truth is, their distance was never proof that they felt nothing. It was proof that they felt too much. They became afraid of their own emotions. Afraid of how quickly you began to matter. Afraid of how easily you entered parts of their heart that had remained closed for a very long time. They were not prepared for the way your presence would affect them. They were not prepared to think about you in quiet moments, to search for you in crowded rooms, or to feel your absence even when they were surrounded by other people. They want to tell you that you have never been ordinary to them. Even when they acted normal, nothing about this connection felt normal inside their heart. There were nights when they opened your conversation just to look at your name. They would type a message, delete it, type another one, and then place the phone down because they did not know how to say what they truly wanted to say. They were afraid that one honest sentence could change everything between you. But now they understand something. Everything has already changed. It changed the moment they began caring about how your day went. It changed when your happiness started affecting their own. It changed when they realized that your pain bothered them more than they could explain. It changed when they began imagining conversations with you that had not happened yet. And there is one moment they keep remembering. You may not even know which moment it was. It may have been something small. A certain look in your eyes. A kind sentence you spoke when they needed it most. A time when you stayed patient with them instead of walking away. A moment when you saw through their behavior and somehow understood that there was something deeper beneath it. That moment stayed with them. They went home thinking about it. They replayed your words. They remembered the sound of your voice. And somewhere inside them, a truth began forming. You were becoming important. More important than they wanted to admit. At first, they tried to convince themselves that it would pass. They told themselves that they were only curious about you. That they simply enjoyed your presence. That the connection was meaningful, but not something that would change the direction of their life. But the feeling did not pass. It grew. The more they tried to ignore it, the louder it became. The more they tried to create distance, the more they noticed your absence. The more they tried to focus on other things, the more their mind returned to you. And now they need to say what they have been too afraid to say. They miss you in ways they cannot explain. They miss the conversations that felt too short. They miss the moments when they felt close to you. They miss the version of themselves that appeared when they were around you. A softer version. A more hopeful version. A version that began believing love might not always end in disappointment. But there is something else behind this message. A confession they have been avoiding. They know they may have hurt you. Perhaps not intentionally. Perhaps they never said anything cruel. Perhaps the pain came from what they did not say. From their inconsistency. From the way they moved closer and then pulled away. From the moments when you needed clarity, but they gave you silence instead. They are aware of it now. They know that their fear created questions in your heart. They know that their hesitation may have made you feel unwanted. They know you may have wondered whether you imagined the connection, whether you cared more, or whether they had already forgotten about everything that happened between you. They have not forgotten. Not even close. There are details about you that still live clearly inside their mind. The expression on your face when you are trying not to reveal what you feel. The way your energy changes when something is bothering you. The little things you say without realizing how meaningful they are. They remember more than they ever admitted. And this is why the message is so important. They do not want you to continue believing that you meant nothing. You meant more than they knew how to handle. There is a reason they became silent. There is a reason they hesitated. There is a reason they kept standing at the edge of honesty without taking the final step. They were afraid that if they told you the truth, you would have the power to break their heart. But the truth is, you already had that power. You had it because they cared. You had it because your opinion mattered. You had it because the thought of losing you created a fear they could not control. And yet, while they were protecting themselves, they may have been pushing you away. That is the part they regret most. They thought silence would keep them safe, but instead it created distance from the person they never wanted to lose. They want to apologize. Not with empty words. Not with excuses. They want to apologize for making you question your place in their life. They want to apologize for the moments when their actions did not match their emotions. They want to apologize for expecting you to understand feelings they never had the courage to explain. You deserved honesty. You deserved reassurance. You deserved to know that you were never easy for them to forget. There is another truth they need to share. They have imagined reaching out many times. There were days when they almost called you. Nights when they almost sent a long message. Moments when they had everything written, only to delete it because fear told them it was too much, too late, or too risky. They kept waiting for a perfect moment. But there is no perfect moment for vulnerability. There is only the moment when the heart becomes tired of hiding. And that moment has arrived. They need you to know that their feelings did not disappear just because they were quiet. Their love did not vanish because they acted distant. Their connection to you did not end simply because life became complicated. In fact, the distance taught them something they could not see while you were close. You are not replaceable. They may have tried to distract themselves. They may have focused on responsibilities, other people, work, family, or personal problems. They may have told themselves that moving forward would be easier than facing the truth. But every distraction eventually became quiet. And in that quiet, there you were. Not physically, perhaps, but emotionally. A memory. A feeling. A question. What if they had been honest? What if they had stopped being afraid? What if they had told you that beneath all the confusion, they were falling for you? This question has followed them. And now they are no longer satisfied with imagining what might have happened. They do not want to live forever with a story that remained unfinished because they were too afraid to speak. But they are also aware that time may have changed you. They know you may not be standing in the same emotional place anymore. You may have built walls where you once left doors open. You may have learned to protect yourself because waiting for them became too painful. They understand that. They know they cannot expect you to erase everything immediately. They know one message cannot repair every wound or answer every question. They know trust is not something they can demand simply because they finally became ready. That is not what they are asking. They are asking you to listen. To read the truth they should have shared before. They want to tell you that when they picture the future, you are still there. Not in some perfect fantasy where nothing ever goes wrong. They imagine the real version. The difficult conversations. The misunderstandings. The moments when both of you are tired, emotional, or afraid. And even then, they imagine choosing you. They imagine learning how to communicate instead of disappearing. They imagine becoming brave enough to let you see the parts of them they usually hide. They imagine building something that does not depend on games, guessing, or emotional distance. They want something real. And what frightens them is that real love requires being seen. They have spent so much of their life appearing stronger than they feel. They learned how to smile while carrying pain. They learned how to say they were fine while fighting battles no one knew about. They learned how to leave before someone had the chance to leave them. But you made them want to stay. That is the confession hidden inside everything. You made them want to stop running. Even when fear told them to disappear, something about you kept calling them back. Something about the connection felt unfinished. Something inside them continued believing there was more to the story. They do not know exactly what will happen when you read this. They do not know whether you will respond immediately, whether you will need time, or whether you will remain silent because you are protecting your own heart. But they need you to know that sending this message took courage. Not because loving you is something shameful, but because admitting the depth of that love makes them vulnerable. They are placing the truth in your hands. And the truth is this. They care about you more than they have shown. They think about you more than they admit. They regret the distance more than you realize. And they are tired of pretending that losing you would not affect them. It would. It already has. Your absence has taught them the value of your presence. Your silence has forced them to listen to their own heart. The possibility of you moving on has shown them that waiting forever is not a safe choice. It is a way of losing something beautiful without ever fighting for it. So they are finally fighting. Not against you. Against their own fear. Against the part of them that always says, "Do not say too much." Do not care too deeply. Do not let anyone know how important they are. Today, they are refusing to listen to that voice. Today, they are choosing honesty. There is one more thing they need to say, and this may be the hardest part. They love you. Perhaps they have never spoken those words directly. Perhaps they used different language. Perhaps they showed it in small ways and then denied it through their actions. But the feeling has been there. They love the way you understand emotions that others ignore. They love the strength you carry even when you are exhausted. They love that there is softness inside you, even after everything you have experienced. They love the way your presence makes life feel less empty. And they are afraid that they waited too long. That fear is why they need you to read this now. They do not want another day to pass while you believe the wrong story. They do not want you to think that their silence meant indifference. It meant fear. It meant confusion. It meant they were trying to control something that could not be controlled. Their heart had already chosen. Their mind was simply trying to catch up. They are not promising perfection. They know they still have things to learn. They know there are emotional patterns they must change. They know love is not proven by one dramatic message but by consistent actions after the message is sent. They are ready to prove it. Slowly, honestly, and patiently. They want to show you that they can communicate instead of withdrawing. They want to show you that they can stay when a conversation becomes uncomfortable. They want to show you that they are no longer interested in running from a connection that means this much. But they need to know whether there is still a place for them in your heart. They are not asking you to forget your pain. They are asking whether healing is possible. They are not asking you to trust words alone. They are asking for the opportunity to match those words with actions. And beneath every sentence, there is one question they are too afraid to ask directly. Do you still feel something too? Have you also been thinking about what could have been? Have you also felt that this story ended before it was supposed to? They have wondered whether you sensed their emotions even when they were silent. Whether you noticed the way they looked at you. Whether you understood the meaning behind the moments when they stayed close without explaining why. Maybe you already knew. Maybe part of you has always known. But knowing silently is not enough anymore. The truth needs a voice. The connection needs clarity. And love needs courage. That is why they are saying this now. Please read this message right now, because I cannot keep hiding behind silence. I cannot continue acting like you are just another person when you have become someone I carry with me every day. I know I have confused you. I know I may have hurt you. I know I should have been honest sooner. But I am being honest now. I miss you. I care about you. I am sorry. And if there is still even a small part of you that believes in what we felt, please do not close the door completely. They are not expecting the entire future to be decided today. They are only hoping for one honest conversation. One moment where both of you stop protecting yourselves long enough to say what is real. Because the person you love has finally understood that some connections do not disappear when they are ignored. They become heavier. They become lessons. They become unfinished stories that continue asking to be completed. And this connection is still asking. It is asking for truth. It is asking for courage. It is asking both of you to decide whether fear will write the ending or whether love will finally be given a real chance. Their message is waiting. Their heart is open. And for the first time, they are not running away from what they feel. They are standing before you emotionally exposed, hoping that when you read their words, you will understand the one thing they struggled so long to say. You have always mattered. You still matter. And everything they are about to reveal has only just begun. The message did not end where you thought it would. There is more they need to tell you. Much more. The person you love has been sitting with these words for longer than you realize. After admitting that you still matter, after confessing that the silence was never emptiness, they were left with another truth pressing against their chest. A truth even more difficult to say. They are afraid you no longer believe them. They are afraid that when you read their message, your first instinct will not be hope. It will be doubt. They know that words can sound beautiful when they arrive too late. They know apologies can feel empty when the pain has already settled into the heart. They know that saying I miss you does not automatically erase every moment when they made you feel forgotten. And they do not blame you for being careful. You have every right to protect yourself. There were times when you waited for them to be honest, and they chose silence. There were moments when you gave them opportunities to come closer, but they stepped back instead. You may have offered understanding, patience, and emotional space, only to receive confusion in return. They see that now. They see how difficult it must have been for you to care about someone who could not clearly explain what they wanted. They see how their fear slowly became your pain. They see how their uncertainty may have forced you to question your own worth. And this is something they desperately need you to hear. Their behavior was never a reflection of your value. You were never too difficult to love. You were never asking for too much by wanting honesty. You were never wrong for needing consistency. The problem was not that you were unworthy of love. The problem was that they did not yet know how to hold something so real without becoming afraid of losing it. They thought they could control the connection by keeping part of themselves hidden. They believed that if they never fully admitted how deeply they cared, then nothing could truly hurt them. But that was an illusion. They were already vulnerable. Every time you became distant, they felt it. Every time your energy changed, they noticed. Every time you stopped reaching out with the same warmth, something inside them became restless. They may not have shown it, but they felt the space growing between you. They felt the consequences of their own hesitation. They watched the connection become quieter, and they knew they had played a part in creating that silence. That realization has been haunting them. There are conversations they replay at night. Moments when they now understand what you were trying to say. Times when you were not asking for perfection. You were simply asking them to meet you halfway. You may have said something simple. Maybe you told them you were tired of guessing. Maybe you asked them what they truly wanted. Maybe you admitted that their mixed signals were hurting you. And instead of giving you the reassurance you needed, they avoided the conversation. They changed the subject. They became distant. They acted as if the connection was not affecting them. But it was. It was affecting them more than they knew how to admit. They want to go back to those moments. Not because they can change the past, but because they wish they could respond differently. They wish they could look at you with the honesty they have now and say, I am scared because this matters. I am confused because I have never felt something this intense. I am pulling away because I am afraid you will see how deeply I need you. That was the truth beneath their silence. They were not trying to punish you. They were trying to hide from themselves. But now they understand that hiding did not protect the connection. It damaged it. And this is where their message becomes more serious. They are not only asking whether you still feel something. They are asking whether they can make things right. Not immediately. Not through one emotional conversation. Not through promises spoken in a moment of fear. They want to rebuild what was weakened, but they know rebuilding requires more than love. It requires patience. It requires consistency. It requires responsibility. They know they cannot return to you with the same habits that pushed you away. They cannot ask for another chance while still disappearing whenever emotions become intense. They cannot speak about a future with you while refusing to address the wounds of the past. So they have been looking at themselves honestly. That has not been easy. They have started recognizing patterns they once defended. The way they shut down during difficult conversations. The way they avoid expressing needs until those needs become resentment. The way they expect people to understand what they feel without giving them the words to understand. They have realized that love cannot survive on unspoken expectations. They have realized that you are not supposed to read their mind. They have realized that being afraid does not excuse hurting someone who genuinely cared. And the most painful realization is this. You may have loved them in the healthiest way you knew, while they responded from the most wounded parts of themselves. They see that now. They remember the kindness you offered. The times you tried to understand them instead of judging them. The moments when you sensed that they were struggling and gave them room to breathe. They remember how you stayed patient when another person might have walked away. And instead of appreciating that patience fully, they may have relied on it. They may have assumed you would always be there. They may have believed they had more time to become honest. Now they know time is not promised. People get tired. Hearts close. Feelings change when they are neglected for too long. This is why urgency has entered their message. They do not want to manipulate you with fear. They do not want to make you responsible for saving them from regret. They only want to stop pretending that they have endless chances to say what matters. Because the thought of losing you permanently has become impossible to ignore. They imagine you moving forward without them. They imagine someone else giving you the clarity they failed to provide. Someone else recognizing your value immediately. Someone else listening to your heart without making you fight to be understood. And that image hurts. Not because they believe you belong to them. You do not. It hurts because they know they had something meaningful in front of them, and they almost allowed fear to destroy it. They are not angry at the idea of you being loved well. Deep inside, they want that for you. But they wish they had been brave enough to be the person who loved you well. Maybe they still can. That is the hope hidden inside their words. They are not asking you to stop your life for them. They are not asking you to forget everything and return to the way things were. They do not want the old connection back. The old connection was full of feelings but lacked clarity. It carried deep emotion but also carried fear. It had beautiful moments, but too many questions remained unanswered. They want something new with you. Something more honest. Something where neither of you has to pretend. Something where difficult feelings are spoken before they become distance. They want to ask about your pain instead of becoming defensive. They want to listen when you tell them what hurt. They want to understand what you need in order to feel safe with them again. And they know your answer may be difficult to hear. You may tell them that you needed them before, but you no longer know whether you can trust them now. You may admit that part of you still cares, while another part is afraid of repeating the same cycle. You may say that love was never the only problem. Maybe the real problem was the lack of emotional safety. They are prepared to hear that. For the first time, they are not trying to control your response. They only want the truth. Because if they are asking you to listen to their heart, they must also be willing to listen to yours. This is something they failed to understand before. They believed vulnerability meant revealing their own feelings. But vulnerability also means staying present when another person reveals pain caused by you. It means not running away from discomfort. It means not turning an apology into an argument. It means allowing someone to say, "You hurt me," without immediately trying to prove that you did not mean to. Intentions matter, but impact matters too. They are beginning to understand that. And there is something else they want to confess. They have been jealous. Not always of another person. Sometimes they were jealous of the parts of your life they could not access. The people who got to see you more often. The conversations they were not part of. The moments when you were laughing, healing, and living without them. They wondered whether you were slowly forgetting them. They wondered whether someone else was learning all the details about you that they once wanted to know. They wondered whether they had waited so long that their place in your heart had already disappeared. But they hid that jealousy because admitting it would have exposed their feelings. They acted detached when they were deeply affected. They told themselves they had no right to care, especially after being the one who created distance. Yet the feeling remained. Every sign that you were moving on forced them to confront a truth. They did not want to lose you. They simply did not know how to ask you to stay. And now they are asking differently. Not by holding you back. Not by making you feel guilty. They are asking whether you would be willing to have one honest conversation, without assumptions, without pride, and without pretending that nothing happened. They want to know how you experienced the connection. They want to know what you felt during their silence. They want to know whether there were moments when you almost reached out but stopped because you were afraid of being ignored again. They want to hear the parts of the story they never saw. Because while they were focused on their own fear, they may have missed the full weight of yours. Perhaps you were afraid too. Afraid of caring more. Afraid of being the only one fighting for the connection. Afraid that asking for clarity would make them leave. Maybe you kept your emotions hidden because you did not want to appear needy. Maybe you acted stronger than you felt. Maybe there were nights when you wanted to tell them how much their distance was hurting you, but you decided to remain silent. If that happened, they are sorry. They are sorry you felt you had to make yourself smaller to keep the connection alive. They are sorry if you felt that expressing your needs would push them away. They are sorry if their inconsistency taught you that loving them required accepting less than you deserved. That was never what they wanted. But they know love is not measured only by what someone wanted to do. It is also measured by what they actually did. That is why they are no longer asking you to believe their emotions simply because the words sound sincere. They want to show you. They want their behavior to become the evidence. This means reaching out when they say they will. It means not leaving you alone with unanswered questions. It means being honest when they feel afraid instead of disappearing. It means choosing the connection even on ordinary days, not only when the fear of losing you becomes unbearable. They know grand confessions are easy compared to daily consistency. Anyone can speak beautifully when emotions are high. Real love appears afterward. It appears in effort. It appears in accountability. It appears in the small decisions that create safety over time. They want to make those decisions. But they also know they cannot make them alone. There must be willingness on both sides. There must be a place where your truth and their truth can meet. And this is what scares them most. What if you are done? What if you read every word and still decide that protecting your peace is more important than reopening the connection? They have imagined that possibility. It breaks their heart, but they understand it. They know love does not entitle them to access to you. An apology does not guarantee another chance. Personal growth does not require you to wait for them. They know that if you choose to walk away, they will have to respect your decision. But even then, they need you to know the truth. They cannot allow the story to end with you believing you were unloved. Because you were loved. Imperfectly, silently, fearfully, but deeply. You were loved in the moments when they could not sleep because your last conversation kept replaying in their mind. You were loved when they wanted to reach out but talked themselves out of it. You were loved when your name appeared unexpectedly and their entire energy changed. You were loved in ways they did not know how to express. And they are finally admitting that hidden love is not enough. A love that is never communicated can feel exactly like absence. A love that never acts can become another wound. A love that keeps waiting for the perfect moment may eventually arrive after the door has closed. They do not want that. So they are standing emotionally before you with nothing left to hide. They want to tell you about the moment they realized they loved you. It was not dramatic. There was no perfect song playing. No extraordinary event. No sign from the sky. It happened in an ordinary moment. You were speaking about something that mattered to you. Maybe you were explaining a dream, sharing a worry, or telling a story from your past. They watched your face change as you spoke. They noticed the way your eyes revealed more than your words. And suddenly, they felt a deep desire to protect what was soft inside you. Not to control you. Not to rescue you. They simply wanted to become someone you could trust. That was the moment. The moment they understood that their feelings were not temporary. They wanted to know every version of you. The confident version. The quiet version. The tired version. The version that laughs freely and the version that becomes distant when life feels too heavy. They did not only want your best days. They wanted the real you. And that frightened them because wanting the real you meant they had to offer the real version of themselves too. They were not ready then. They may be ready now. Not because fear has disappeared. It has not. Their hands may still shake before they contact you. Their mind may still create 100 reasons to wait. They may still worry that your response will change everything. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing honesty while fear is still present. And that is what they are trying to do. They are choosing you over avoidance. They are choosing truth over pride. They are choosing the possibility of real love over the temporary safety of silence. There is one final thing they need to say before they wait for your answer. They do not want to return only because they feel lonely. They do not want to reach for you simply because life became difficult. They are reaching out because distance gave them clarity. It showed them that the connection was not built only on proximity. It remained inside them even when conversations stopped. It survived every attempt to dismiss it. They tried to move forward without facing what they felt. But moving forward is not the same as healing. And they could not heal from something they had never been honest about. So this message is also their first act of healing. They are finally telling the truth without knowing what the truth will give them in return. Maybe it will lead them back to you. Maybe it will lead to closure. Maybe it will open a conversation that both of you have needed for a long time. They cannot know yet. But they know that silence can no longer be the answer. Their heart has said enough in private. Now they want to speak where you can hear it. They want you to know that they are not asking for an immediate decision. Take the time you need. Feel whatever you feel. Be angry if anger is present. Be cautious if caution is necessary. Be honest if part of you still cares and part of you does not know what to do with that care. They would rather receive your complicated truth than another comfortable silence. Because this connection has already lived in silence for too long. They are ready for the conversation. The real conversation. The one where both of you admit what happened. The one where feelings are not used to avoid responsibility. The one where pain is acknowledged and hope is not forced. The one where you both decide whether something new can grow from what was broken. They are waiting for your answer, but not in the way they waited before. Before, waiting meant doing nothing. Now, waiting means giving you space after finally giving you the truth. And beneath every confession, every apology, and every promise, their message carries one simple request. Please do not misunderstand my silence as a lack of love. I was afraid. I was unprepared. I made mistakes. But what I felt for you was real. What I still feel is real. And if there is a way to begin again, not from the same place but from a wiser and more honest one, I want to find it with you. They have opened the door. They are no longer hiding behind confusion. They are no longer asking time to make the decision for them. And now the next moment belongs to the truth between you. Because there is still more they need to reveal. There is still one secret they have never told anyone. A decision they have already made about you. A decision that could change the direction of this entire connection. And when they finally tell you what it is, you will understand why this message could not wait another day.